All right, what is up, Knights of the Game Table? I'm here with the DAC, and we are here to talk about Ritual of the Damned. It is very exciting. We're going to have a lot of crazy armies in here, a lot of armies that a lot of people don't actually have a lot of time with or don't really see that often, but they're all in this book. And we're going to go ahead and start off with the Dark Angels.
Yes.
So first off here, we got a new Master Lazarus model, who I believe has some updates, right, Dakota?
Yeah. I mean, he's brand spanking new. Like, he's a whole new dude.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's, of course, a Primaris character. We've been seeing that a lot with the range, Space Marine range. Almost everybody's been getting, like, a Primaris character. Either an old one's being made into Primaris, or it's a whole new dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so what's some stuff that you would say is pretty solid about this dude so far? Like, what's like really the reason to take him?
So he's mostly like any other master, or in this case would be a captain. Really, the thing he mostly brings is he obviously, if you like look at the helm, he obviously is pretty nice against Psychers. Like,
oh yeah,
you get basically a 5-up feel no pain against specifically say like mortal wounds, but like if you know you're in a Psyker heavy meta, that's actually really nice because it's all the units within 6 inches, so you can actually get a pretty nice bubble there.
Yeah. Plus also in the confines of this book, because all of their direct competition are really going to have a rough time
all
with them.
Heavy Psyker. Yeah, exactly. It's all heavily psychic focused. But yeah, so also he's got an inbuilt ability basically to where if he dies, he can just swing in and fight.
Oh yeah. Being able to respawning characters is a thing that we've seen a couple of times, but like that's pretty good because of the fact that also it's not like a thing that's like you usually have to roll for this ability.
Yeah, no,
it's like just flat up. He's coming back. He's gonna do it. You're gonna have a rough day.
Yeah, no, he just you kill him. He just gets to swing in.
Yeah,
just booped you right away. Beyond that though, as far as units go, I don't think there's no new units. Just some updates for like chaplains, because for a while their chaplains didn't have litanies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this like just kind of updates it, gives them access to litanies like the Codex Space Marine chaplains have. So it just kind of updates those data, those profiles. Also some updates for obviously you get access to the Impulsor, but that's not new. And also the Phobos characters and Phobos units are
all the new units are now in a book, and you can access them with the Dark Angels, and they all have the fancy Dark Angels keyword in there,
which is a nice thing.
So you're not confused, which is helpful. And then we got specifically, let's get to some of the big stuff here. I mean, we got abilities for the Dark Angels here.
Yes.
That are extra on top of the fact that they have all the bits from Angels to Death, like Bolter Discipline, like Shock Assault, and of course also the combat doctrines, which is pretty big.
Which is huge, because that's one of the missing pieces of the puzzle for sure.
Yeah. It's really going to bring them up with all their Space Marine brethren. But also they have some extra abilities as well.
Yes. As before, it's a thing that we've seen with a lot of Space Marine chapters in general, is usually within the combat doctrines, when they're on a certain one, assuming your army is wholly made of that particular faction or sub-faction, you get an additional benefit, like during the Tactical Doctrine or Devastator Doctrine. In which case, these guys, during the Devastator Doctrine, they get an additional 6 inches to the ranged weapons. Specifically, it's 6 inches to heavy and rapid-fire weapons, and you get plus 3 inches to assault and pistol weapons. Yeah. Which is actually, it doesn't, at first glance, it's like, it doesn't seem incredible until you really start adding it up with who really can benefit from it. Like Hellblasters become really rad.
Yeah, extra rapid fire range.
Yeah, you get rapid fire range a good bit quicker.
Yeah.
You get intercessors with just your regular bolt rifles reaching out to 36 inches.
Yeah.
You get
18-inch rapid fire. That's the kind of stuff that Tau dreams of all the time.
Yeah, except unlike Tau, you actually hit on a 3 without needing a ton of marker light synergy to make it work.
All right, go ahead and rub it in.
Right. Oh, also speaking of Tau-like synergies and not actually needing a bunch of stuff to do that for you, they still have their ability Grim Resolve from before. Their chapter tactic has not changed. It's if you stand still, you get to just reroll 1s to hit in your shooting phase.
Yeah.
Now the difference is, instead of before it was only for like bikes and infantry, now it does apply to the whole range as long as it's not a servitor. But it still works. But now it works for vehicles as well. So your predators get it, which is not too bad.
Yeah.
There's
A
quite
lot of campy things that you kind of want to have that.
there's still plenty of backfield units that are going to benefit from it, like those aforementioned Hellblasters, who you will want to have rerolling ones at the least.
Oh, yeah.
It's just nice. It means you don't have to have a captain around, or a captain equivalent, a master around, to get those reroll ones. You can have backfield units just sit there, unbabysat, and then have your captain go up and do something more important, like hit people with a hammer.
Exactly. And I think that also comes better because, I mean, for the most part, most of the stratagems that are added here are mostly all ones that come from the Codex SRTs and just kind of reprinted, but with Dark Angel's keywords. There's a few new ones, I believe.
So, like, all right, so one thing you can get access to, it is basically a copy-paste from Codex Space Marines, but I think here it's actually really worth mentioning, which is Rapid Fire. So you're actually getting the whole suite of intercessor-like centric stratagems, including your veteran intercessor one, which is it's always kind of nice to have around.
Yeah.
But Rapid Fire in particular, pops into mind here because of those 36-inch range intercessors that even if they scooted scooted up a little bit, or if you just, there's so many ways you can count as standing still. Either way, 36-inch range, Rapid Fire 2,
It's 4 shots. That's a lot.
4 shots at 36 inches. It's a lot for people to deal with. You put that on a 10-man intercessor squad, and you'll put a dent in most anything. Certainly, any infantry in the game was going to probably feel it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd say another kind of copy paste that's probably worth mentioning, especially because for some of the people that like Dark Angels for more than just Green Wing, like Deathwing and Ravenwing. So Fury the First is in here. Now the keywords have changed, so it's Deathwing Terminators, but it does give you that really important add 1 to the hit roll, because honestly, come on, you don't want to just play mono Green Wing. You want to bring some of the other cool stuff in.
Yeah.
So but adding that +1 to hit rolls can be huge, especially on a Thunderhammer squad, and it's really disgusting if it's on a Deathwing Knight squad. It's really gross because their weapons they don't have a hit modifier on them.
Oh, wow.
But they hit more or less like Thunderhammers. It's strength 8. It's got like 1 less AP. It's like AP -2, but it does a flat 3 damage.
That's really solid.
So you'll be hitting on 2s, which is pretty rad on those.
Yeah, that's really spooky.
Now, another part that's an interesting thing to note about the stratagems in this, it's pretty clear they wanted to give a little more attention to Deathwing and Ravenwing. There's one stratagem here called Targeting Guidance, which I think is actually pretty sweet. It's only 1 command point, but basically, if you have a Ravenwing land speeder, you can spend the 1 command point and pick a unit within 12 inches, and then for the rest of that shooting phase, when you basically shoot at that chosen unit, you get to just re-roll hit rolls.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So basically, for 1 command point, as long as you bring one, for 1 command point, you can choose a unit, and then everybody that shoots at it is basically in a Chapter Master's aura.
That's really nice, yeah.
Which is great for 1 command point. If you really need something gone, it's pretty great.
Yeah, it's a good way to pull securing fire, and also with such a fast unit.
Oh yeah, and they're quick. Oh, Combined Assault is another one worth mentioning because this is really good.
Yeah.
So Deathwing has been it's been in a kind of a rough spot for a while, but Combined Assault is really rad, especially if you want to run Deathwing and Ravenwing together. For 2 command points, you get to you basically get to choose a Ravenwing squad right at the end of the movement phase. You spend the 2 command points, and then instead of having to follow the usual deep strike rules, you just deep strike the unit wholly within 6 inches of that bike squad. Now, you're saying, well, what's the benefit of that? Well, by doing that, you also get to override the usual deep strike rules, and instead of having to stay 9 inches away from your opponent's models, you only have to stay 6 inches away.
Which is pretty solid.
Which fixes a huge problem of deep striking Terminators have pretty much across the board, which is they deep strike in, you need a 9 or better to actually get into combat, and if you don't get it, then they are just standing there.
Yeah, I've definitely won quite a few battles with that exact thing happening where a friend will deep strike in Terminators, and I'll be like, you missed it, and it's like, well, darn.
Yeah, like, well, darn, there goes that too.
Oh, well, there goes that.
Yeah, there goes that unit.
Also, you get access to the Obscuration Discipline and the Vanguard Warlord traits for your Dark Angels, which is pretty cool. But the real thing that's really worth talking about is the Deathwing and Ravenwing Warlord traits, which have quite a few things. There's 3 for each one, and let's take a look. So
Laylo the Mighty is actually kind of sweet. I actually weirdly like that one as far as the Deathwing traits go. Basically says you can reroll wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons against character units or units with a wounds characteristic of 8 or more.
So basically anything with a monster rule or character.
Or vehicle.
That's true. Wait,
As long as it usually, I mean, unless it's like a really flimsy
anything
vehicle.
big, yeah.
Anything that's a vehicle that's not like a Venom.
Yeah.
You'll get basically reroll some wound, but the cool thing is it's units get it as long as they're within 6 of the Warlord.
Ooh.
Which means those aforementioned Hammernators, Deathwing Knights come in and they become quite consistent against those big, which things you want them to fight, like those big tough models like Demon Princes or whatever. You're going to get in and you're going to get to reroll those wound rolls, and it's not going to feel very good. So I actually really like that one.
Yeah, that one's really spicy.
So another Warlord trait that I really like from the book, this one's for Ravenwing, and it's just while units are within, specifically Ravenwing units, are within 6 inches of your Warlord, you don't suffer the penalty for advancing and firing assault weapons or for moving and firing heavy weapons.
That's pretty good.
Especially when you consider that a lot of those weapons that you will see on stuff like your land speeders, which are all Ravenwing, there's a lot of like heavy weapon options you can put on there. So you actually get a surprising amount of like flexibility from that. Also stuff like actually your flyers have the Ravenwing keyword. And they have some pretty cool but like kind of wacky guns on them. But like a few of them are like heavy, and so like it stacks with like penalties. But you get to ignore that, which actually makes it really rad.
Yeah.
So if you like to play Dark Angel flyers, if you have a bunch sitting on your shelf collecting dust, might be worth taking this Warlord trait and wiping them down and bringing them to the table.
Go crazy.
All right, and I think something worth talking about as far as the relics go. The rest of the relics are all pretty nice, but one thing stood out to me, especially once again if you like playing Deathwing. This is like a really, really good one. Like I see no reason not to take it along if you're playing Deathwing.
Yeah.
So it's for Deathwing Ancients only, but for models within 6 inches of, it gets you a 6-inch bubble. Now, it's not per unit, it's by model. Remember that. So that does matter. But they all do get a 5-up feel no pain.
Which is pretty solid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just ask Death Guard if they like their 5-up feel no pain, especially those like Blightlord Terminators, and they will tell you yes, they do.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, with a stratagem that they have access to in there, you can give them +1 toughness. You can literally pretend to be... you can basically pretend to be Death Guard Terminators.
That's awesome.
Like, look at me! with your toughness 5 and 5-up feel no pain. So yeah, pretty rad. I like it.
Yep, and then also they have access to most of the special issue war gear that all the other Space Marines come with. Some of them are changed names a little bit, and then they also have access to Litanies of Battle. And they have, of course, their own special Litany of Battle, because ever since Faith and Fury, obviously everyone's going to have one who has a chaplain with them.
Which is pretty nice. Stoic Prosecution, it basically just lets you count a unit as having not moved.
Yep.
Which is rad.
Yeah, which is good, as we were talking about with other things, with like, you combine that with Rapid Fire or something like that. You got
to shuffle a tank.
Yeah, exactly. You got 42-inch firing, 21-inch 42-inch technically rapid firing intercessors, all firing 4 shots apiece with their bolt rifles. It's real spooky. All right, that has been everything for our Dark Angels coverage. That should give you all the good stuff that you need to know about this book and whether or not you want to get it to beef up your Dark Angels. And I think it's a pretty good idea, because there's a lot of pretty good stuff in here that'll really help you out. Plus also it just kind of gathers everything in one place, which is really nice for all that stuff that's been added to them after the fact, after their codex has been released. Yeah. And it just puts it in one place, which is actually really nice to just have. Yeah. I've been here with the DAC, and we'll see you next time.